சுவாசம் வீசினாய் வாசம் என் சுவாசம் என்றும் நீதானே உன்னை பார்த்தா போதும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும் இந்த ஜன்மம் தீரும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும் உன்னை அள்ளி நான் கொஞ்சும் போது அது போல சுகம் இங்கு ஏது உனக்காக பூ பூக்கும் பூமி உன தீண்ட மழையாகும் மேகம் சொர்க்கத்தின் துண்டொன்னு மண் மீது வந்தே கை நீட்டி விளையாட கண்டேன் இன்பத்தின் அர்த்தங்கள் உன் முத்தம் என்றே முத்தாட பித்தேறினே நீ பேசும் பேச்ச கேட்டா போதும் நான் கொண்ட எல்லா துன்பமும் தீரும் உன் பாதோ வீட்டில் வந்தா போதும் உனக்காக வாழ்வேன் நான் உன்னை பார்த்தா போதும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும் இந்த ஜன்மம் தீரும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும் இறைவன் உருவம் எது நான் காண்கிறேன் நீதானே உன்னை பார்த்தா போதும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும் இந்த ஜன்மம் தீரும் என் அழகு கொட்டிச் செல்லும்
ഏറെ മോന്തിയായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു മധുരമിടാച്ചായയിൽ പങ്കുചേരുവാൻ വന്നൊരു മധുരമുള്ള വേദനെ ഏറെ മോന്തിയായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു മധുരമിടാച്ചായയിൽ പങ്കുചേരുവാൻ വന്നൊരു മധുരമുള്ള വേദനെ കാലുമേലെ കാല് കേറ്റി സോഫയിൽ ഇരുന്നു നീ കാലുമേലെ കാല് കേറ്റി സോഫയിൽ ഇരുന്നു നീ മേനിയാകെ കോളു കേറ്റി ഒരേ
பிறந்த உடல்
We request Kumar, Director of Education, Kerala Agriculture University, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Nice. Thank you. Very warm welcome to all present here, respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, the guests of today's Siddiq Kadambot, Professor Michael, my dear deans, directors, colleagues, and my dear students. Indeed, this is a very auspicious day, an international seminar, and I see a lot of young people here, and I just want to start my speech by reminding you that this is a great opportunity for all of you. Please rise to the occasion, please share, ask questions. We have excellent speakers, very two eminent personalities on dais here who is going to converse with you. One our own man, he is an alumni. Professor Siddiq is an alumni of AAU. So it's a great opportunity. Again, I remind you to take this opportunity very earnestly and raise questions. Okay. Let me start my speech. Higher education in agriculture and allied subjects in India is facilitated primarily by ICR through a network of agriculture universities and institutes dedicated to teaching, research, and extension services. State agriculture universities provide undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral programs in various fields like crop production, animal husbandry, agriculture economics, agribusiness, and in several disciplines and also allied subjects. Our curriculum includes practical training and research components aimed at improving agriculture practices and developing new technologies. Hence, agriculture and allied sector is contributing significantly to our economy and employment by accounting for roughly 15% of India's GDP, with over 50% of the workforce engaged in this sector. We are proud that our country is the second largest producer of fruits, vegetables, wheat, rice, sugarcane, and cotton, to the best of my understanding. But again, we are also at the same time aware that our challenges include fragmented land holdings, water scarcity, and vulnerability to climate change. Government priorities focus on enhancing productivity, farmer welfare, and sustainable practices. The Indian government, as well as the government of Kerala, implements various policies, schemes, and subsidies to support agriculture and improve infrastructure and to ensure food security. Agriculture education in this context plays a very crucial role in enhancing the agriculture sector's productivity and contributing more to the country's economic development. This sector is very, very crucial. So with growing challenges, it is time that environmental and social sustainability goals are also more actively included into the agriculture production system, agriculture education systems, which have traditionally been focused on increasing agriculture productivity. Kerala Agriculture University, being the primary and principal instrumentality of the Kerala state in providing human resources and skills and technology, envisions the constant creation of institutions of excellence and its transformation over time to impart quality higher education in agriculture and allied subjects, and to institute better agriculture research and outreach programs to improve the livelihoods and welfare of the farmers, consumers, and other stakeholders through growth and sustainability inclusive of social development. The mission mode activities envisaged by KU are to transform the state's agriculture education into a demand-driven efficient system to provide academic high-quality output in education and extension, to promote centers of excellence, and to provide skilled, analytical, and globally competitive human resources to meet the national needs for sustainable and inclusive growth. I am extremely confident that today's seminar will be brainstorming all these issues and will provide new and innovative insights regarding tweaking of our existing educational approaches and the mainstreaming of better methods and technologies to better incorporate sustainability principles into agriculture education. Let us also, through this seminar, foster more stronger connections between KU and the other stakeholders within the agriculture innovation system to enhance the sustainability and impact of agriculture education. So with these few words, let me move to my assigned duty. Today we are honored to have in our midst our visionary Vice Chancellor, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, the guiding force behind all the new directions that Kerala Agriculture University is now moving on to transform itself into a destination of academic excellence. Sir, we welcome you to this program. Dr. Madhu Subramaniam, the Director of Research KU, is here to grace this program with his introductory remarks. Welcome you, sir. Professor Kadambot Siddiq, Hackett Professor of Agriculture, Chair and Director, University of Western Australia, and alumni of KU, as I already mentioned, is a well-wisher of our university and he's been closely associated with our programs for a very long time. His dynamic inputs, academic credentials, and sagely advice have gone a long way in helping us to keep abreast of the latest advances. May I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. I would also like to profusely welcome Professor Michael Blankeny, Professor, University of Australia, and he is also a visiting professor at University of Ferrara, who has actually found time for us and graced our university with his dynamic and august presence here today. He is an expert in IP issues and is a fellow of the Australian Academy of Social Sciences. I extend a warm welcome to him as well. I extend a warm welcome to the deans of colleges, my colleagues who are here, other fellow officers, and I also see my fellow faculty members here. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. Your presence will enrich our discussions and contribute greatly to the success of this seminar. Dr. Jacob John, Director of Extension, will be soon here to deliver the vote of thanks. I welcome him on his, though he is absent now, I welcome him also. Dr. Jayasri Krishnankuti, the former Director of Extension and a former professor of KAU. I don't think she needs a formal introduction. She is known to everyone. I understand she is one of the persons actually guiding this seminar also. Welcome you, sir, to this program. Now, my dear student participants, I welcome and encourage you once again to actively participate, ask questions, and more importantly, share your insights. We believe that you have very wonderful ideas with you. Your generation is going to power this nation. I want you to open up and please share your thoughts. Your contributions are going to be invaluable to the our learning experience. Please take advantage of this opportunity to connect with experts in your field. Please understand that building relationships can lead to new collaborations and ideas. I'm sure that this seminar, this international seminar, this interface is going to be an academic feast to all the participants. I sincerely extend a warm welcome and wish you all to have a good outcome-based session and hope this will turn out to be a very memorable event. May I make the most of the moment by thanking my colleagues who are behind organizing this event. I am not naming anybody, but there are a lot of people who are actually behind this for their support also, and congratulations for hosting this and organizing this wonderful international seminar. Thanks to you all. Good day.
Thank you, sir. We respectfully invite Dr. Madhu Subramanian, the Director of Research, Kerala Agriculture University, to offer his introductory remarks.
So, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, our Honorable Speaker of the Day, who is leading the seminar, Professor Kadambod Siddiq, Hackett Professor of Agriculture and Director University of Western Australia, the Agriculture Program, I understand, Professor William Michael Blackney, Dr. Pogumar, Director Education, Professor, a colleague, directors, other senior officials and faculty members of the university, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to listen to one of the most internationally renowned speakers in agriculture sector on two topics, both of which are extremely relevant in the society today and which have important the sustenance of Kerala as a society into the immediate long-term future. The first one is higher education. It's in a situation of flux. Are increasingly leaving the shores in search of better future. It's a topic of hot debate in the Kerala society today. 2.5 lakh students left Kerala last year alone. Of course, migration of able people, workforce is nothing new to Kerala. In fact, it has contributed so much to society into what it is today. However, the difference is, earlier people left our shores in search of tunes, but they had a design to come back and settle down in Kerala. And thus, they contributed to the growth of the economy as well, whereas the present generation who are planning to leave are planning to leave for good, never come back. And that is going to have serious repercussions on social structure, as well as especially in a context where Kerala is turning increasingly geriatric. So the absence of a supportive youth in the age structure, 20 to 40, a permanent vacuum that is being created is going to have serious repercussions, and that needs to be addressed immediately. The second point is sustaining agriculture. Again, something of grave concern to us as a society. Kerala depends for most of its food requirements other states. It's a fact. But whatever we are producing, the 20 to 30% is having a stabilizing effect on the price and on the immediate requirement. However, this is also being challenged. And Kerala agriculture today, if you ask me what is our requirement for the future, it will be, as Planning Board has stated, achieving and maintaining high productivity in the wake of increasing manifestations of climate change in a sustainable manner. And this is a very serious challenge. I don't know how many of you read it. When I went through that news article, it was very heavy for my heart, because 2 days back, we had a news item saying that farmers destroyed the paddy seedlings, their paddy nursery, by using herbicides because they could not continue cultivation. It's like killing your own infant children. So that is one of the aspects or one of the manifestations of where Kerala agriculture is today. On one side, along the hilly tracts or the upper reaches of the state, we have increasing incidences of man-animal conflicts, not only leading to abandoning agriculture. At least in my own village, last year alone, 17 farmer families shifted to urban settlements, leaving their agriculture farmlands to the vagaries of technologies that have so far been alien to us, like robotics, like IoT, like sensor-based technologies, and so on. So there is a connectivity in sustainability of agriculture. We are depending, at least in the next, of course, if you go through the literature, you can find that in the next decade, our agriculture technology will see a massive transformation in favor of more advanced technologies. And our youth, our students of today will have to be equipped in mastering and managing those technologies for the betterment of farming community. So there is a connectivity between the two topics, that is higher education and also managing our agriculture sustainably. So this is also one point that I wanted to highlight today. I'm very happy that under the able leadership of our Honorable Vice Chancellor and Directorate of Education, Kerala Agriculture University is on a fast track to redesign the entire education program to help our students and also to help cater to the needs of the emerging agriculture scenario. And today, in order to address or to talk to us about these twin challenges that Kerala agriculture and Kerala society is facing, we have one of the most eminent personalities in the form of Dr. Kadambot Siddiq, who has been introduced by our Director of Education as an alumnus of Kerala Agriculture University and an internationally known agronomist, working on the sustainability of agriculture. He is not new to Kerala. He has been here in the past also and has been taking part in several deliberations with regard to the sustainability issues of Kerala agriculture. So we have in him an institution builder, an educationist, and an agronomist who is one of the most eminent and eligible or the apt person to speak to us about these twin concerns to address which we are here today. And I also take this opportunity to congratulate the organizers of this seminar in the choice of two very important topics and also in organizing the seminar in a very befitting manner. So I join you without too much of time. I join you in listening to Professor Kadambot Siddiq as he will be enlightening us on the challenges of higher education in agriculture and also on sustaining agriculture, sustainability issues in Kerala agriculture. So thank you and wishing you all the very best. Thank you once again and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir, for that very thought-provoking talk. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, has been a constant source of positive, innovative encouragement which helps the university to come up with relevant programs such as these. He will be joining online with us very soon. In the meantime, I request Dr. P.O. Namir, the Dean of the College of CCES, to kindly introduce our eminent speaker of the day.
Good morning, all of you. I have the pleasant task of introducing the speaker of the day, Professor Kadambot Siddiq. Professor Kadambot Siddiq, as has already been told, is an alumnus of Kerala Agriculture University, where he did his BSc from the prestigious College of Agriculture, Vellani, and also his MSc from there in plant physiology, from the IARA in plant physiology. And he is currently the Hackett Professor of Agriculture, Chair and Director, Institute of Agriculture in the University of Western Australia. He's a prolific publisher. His H index, for example, stands at 95, and his citations is more than 36,000. So that's the stature, and I understand that he publishes almost one paper at least every week. So that's a frequency at which he publishes. His biography reads like Professor Siddique, after completing his PhD at the University of Western Australia in 1985, joined the Department of Agriculture and Food, Western Australia, and as a cereal crop physiologist, and worked his way up to principal scientist and leader of the Department of Agriculture, Food and Western Australia, Australia Pulse program. He became the director of Center for Legumes in Mediterranean Agriculture at the University of Western Australia in 2001, and remained in his position until 2006, when he was appointed to establish and lead the University of Western Australia Institute of Agriculture. Professor Siddique is recognized internationally as a leader of crop science and agriculture. His roles and responsibilities are manifold. I'll just read out a few of them. He leads the institute and work with external advisory board to identify issues for the industry and develop institute high-level strategic response, develop and manage operational and communication plans and resource requirement for presentation to and approval by the executive, and ensure that these plans are effectively implemented. Build relationship with the agriculture industry, nurture and enhance research alliance, and represent and promote the institute, and it goes on and on. Professor Siddique has made outstanding contribution to agriculture in research, education, and industry development. His research on adaptation, physiology, genetics, and agronomy of crops has boosted cereal and grain crop yield improvements in grain legumes and wheat, and the release of 13 new grain legume cultivars. His education and research training initiatives span many regions, including Australia, Asia, Africa, the Middle East. These are impacting on the next generation of agriculture scientists and progressive farmers for the future challenges of food security. Professor Siddique has more than 30 years of experience in agricultural research training and management in Australia and overseas. He has a national and international reputation in various aspects of agricultural science, including crop physiology, production agronomy, farming system, etc., etc., etc. And I'll just conclude by saying one thing, that he has been a very strong supporter of Kerala Agricultural University all these years. Particularly, he has been, one of the points that I would like to highlight is that he has been responsible for starting the Academy of Climate Change Education Research way back in 2010, and later, he has been seeing the progress of that academy into a college in 2018. So all these years, he has been very strongly supporting Kerala Agricultural University, not only, the Climate Change Institute, but, in all the, realms of Agriculture University. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Vice Chancellor has now joined us. Thank you, Nameer sir. Honorable Vice Chancellor is yet to join us, so we will come to the main highlight of the day. We are very honored and very happy to have Professor Dr. Kadambod Siddique as our speaker today. And also we are very proud that he is an alumnus of the Kerala Agriculture University. With great pleasure and honor, we request Dr. Siddique to deliver his first lecture on the topic, Kerala Agriculture, the Challenges and Opportunities.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank Professor Namir for that generous introduction, but Vice Chancellor, he will join us, Dr. Gopakumar, Dr. Madhu Subramaniam, Professor Jayashree Krishnankuti, my colleague, Professor Michael Blakeney, Dr. Jacob John. This has joined. Okay, so we'll stop here. Okay, thank you.
Honorable Vice Chancellor has now joined us. May we request Dr. B. Ashok IAS, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kerala Agriculture University, to kindly deliver the inaugural address on the occasion of this international seminar. Please, sir.
So, respected Chair, dear friends from the University of, am I audible? Dr. Gopakumar, am I audible? Yeah, good. So, dear friends from the University of Western Australia, Director of Education, other respected colleagues and assembled distinguished faculty researchers. Sorry that I could not join exactly at time because we had some problems of transport in Trivandrum following the heavy rainfall in the morning, heavy blocks congesting most of the traffic inlets into the city. And I was just wondering that there could not be a more vivid example of climate change already well inside our daily, affecting our daily lives without our necessarily addressing it in the best way possible. Now it is really appropriate that the University of Western Australia and our long-standing collaboration, particularly with good friend Dr. Siddiq, whom I was fortunate to visit in my earlier avatar between 11 to 16, and the pioneering experiments that university is engaging in climate change, which was engaging in at that time, and no doubt continuing into 2024, would have left a lot of learning in the sector with ambient temperature changes, rise in the sea level, which should be affecting India as much as Australia. And we are right now in the middle of an year of, surprising and sudden climatic phenomenon, including thunder showers and flash flooding, calling for new approaches in the way we organize our civic life apart from agriculture. So in between, we are also aware that we had a joint program developed in and around climate change in the Agricultural University, which has now been recast as an integrated course. Certainly, this seminar on climate change serves two definite purposes. One is to showcase and catch up the learning which has happened from 2010 to 24. That's 14 years is quite a period in which I'm sure Dr. Siddiq and his colleague has to inform us a lot of what they have learned on how the Australian subcontinent and the Indian Peninsula are responding to climate change in multiple terms. Certainly, three scenarios, three theaters have opened up before agricultural researchers. One is to hold the water regime stable, which is a huge consideration for Kerala also, because Kerala's, if you look at Kerala's geographical and climatic variables, the most important distinguishing feature is that it is almost as much water as much land in that sense. The two principal rivers, Periyar and the Pamba, if they multiply their forces acting on the landmass of Kerala, there is a very good chance that Kerala becomes rather deltaic like the southern West Bengal in that terms. There are some doomsday predictions that Periyar has the potential, except for the flood control we have affected upstream. It has the potential to practically divide Kerala into two formations, probably connected by some man-made structures in between. So nobody envisages that as a reality, but these are very possible risks for Kerala's typical geography to face in the future. Now, the point I'm trying to establish here is that after the experience of the flash floods in 2018, the control or if not control, the management of the intensity of the water resource is a top priority for the state of Kerala. And as the then water resource secretary, I was part of the thought process which went into intensive flood control, particularly upstream. And even today, there is a mention in today's newspapers about the flood control devices being proposed in Periyar and Pamba. The other concern for Kerala's water regime, which has to be controlled better, will be the managing the lowland agriculture, which is caught in between the deltaic lowland agriculture, which is caught between the surging river streams of both Periyar and Pamba. If you consider that, certainly Kutanad becomes the prime choice. Of course, cold lands of Thrissur also, but the water regime there is slightly different. Kutanad is interesting because, as Professor Siddiq would recognize, the three large rivers are confluencing onto a very small patch of land, and there are obvious flood mitigation structures which are upstream and midstream. But there is a very good case for looking at how to control the egress of water from the Kutanad wetlands and Vembanad on to the Arabian Sea. Australia has some pioneering projects on flood control and flood management. Obviously, I don't want to mention them, and of course, extremely good governance structures which work around multi-province dams which manage. But if we do a reality check of these initiatives which we kicked off in 2018, in terms of management of extreme weather events, the progress we have achieved is the UNDP estimated something like 30,000 crores Indian rupees to overcome the immediate flood impact. I think the achievement now is in the order of around 8,000 crores over a period of, if we calculate beginning of 19 as the Jan 19 as the commencement of the effort, today after how many years? That is 5 years plus, we have reached 1/3 mark only in addressing the issues. Almost all the large structures planned for control of the water regime remain in the drawing desk. Today, there is a mention that Kerala is proposing 9 dams, including the replacement dam to Mullai Periyar, which of course hogs a lot of limelight in the media without people necessarily understanding the historical process, the nuances. And if you look at social media, you might get into a sentiment that the dam can sort of have a structural rupture and horrifying stories that it might push. It might push even your the low-lying areas of urban Kochi onto the Arabian Sea, which I tend to discount because as a part of the supervisory mission for both the dams, I was privy to the historical process which gave those structures, the physical design of the dam, which is not apparent. People tend to leave with the stories that that there are cavities in the Surki structure into which transport, the full-scale buses can be parked. The dam is leaking at X rate meters per cubic meters per second, etc., etc. Since I had privilege to go through the CWC's data over a very long period of time, it's a very old dam. Across, let us say, the centuries it has been in existence. If you read through some of the material on the management of modern dams, Mullai Periyar certainly has its own risks, but this whole story is highly inflated. That you are sitting on a time bomb, etc., etc., is fairly inflated. It should be one of the, if you take man-made structures, it will be the probability of a disruption is like very, very remote in that particular dam. And I have also been put questions as to what if a massive, scalable above 8, close to 8 earthquake ruptures the Idiki Dam. So the the answer to that question is that, for example, if you look at the tensile ability of the Idiki Arch Dam, the Idiki Dam structure actually comprises of more than 9 dams. If you look at it as a structure, it's a 65 square kilometer catchment with 7 inlet dams and structures and controlling gates, and 3 large dams. Large dams meaning dams which have a capacity of more than 200 cusecs. TMCs, 200 QMCs are classified large dams. So there are 3 classified large dams there. And if you look at the double paraboloid arch dam, which is the main structure, which you find, the tensile strength provided for the dam is as good as the granite and charnockite formations which form the shoulders of the arches, popularly known as Koratti and Koravanmala. So that is a granite and charnockite formation, and the dam has been provided just as much as the tensile strength as a natural structure. Had there been a natural structure between the two, had the charnockite and granite been continuous, the same tensile ability has been given to the dam. And I'm simply telling you how popular perceptions can vary from the civil design involved. And therefore, theoretically, if the Idiki Dam comes down with an earthquake, probably nothing would be left in that entire district, or at least sub-district. If the dam can collapse, then probably, even assuming that the intensity pacifies over the fault line, you can very well conceive that what man-made structure would actually remain in that area. This would be obviously the forces acting on the dam are of a very high order, because the capacity itself is 55 TMC involved in that. So therefore, these nuances of and in that sense, Mullaperiyar is a very small dam. In fact, it's about 1/10 of the capacity of the Idiki Dam. So there's this entire question of in the case of a rupture, how far will Idiki absorb the water pressure as well as the debris, as it says, as the debris or the ruptured remains of the upper dam. So these calculations are all available, and I just wish to say that popular perception developed over time can vary very hugely from what the record of the structure says. For example, if you look at the seepage which we experienced in 2019-21, the figures, I had occasion to repeatedly inspect the dam with the engineer-in-chief of the Central Water Commission. The seepage rates were roughly about 10% of what was being experienced in some of the other larger dams. For example, Hirakud had higher seepage rates, and if we go by the same logic, the chances of rupture in Hirakud were much more. If you go by the seepage rate as a yardstick, because very few people understand that dams are designed to seep a bit. It is not that it's a steel wall pushing the water back, but dams involve designs to actually discharge water across the dammed structure, and a certain seepage rate is to be expected. So these learnings came in water. What I'm coming to is that limb 1 of our response is yet to consolidate into these structures. 7 upstream flood control dams are planned, particularly in the Achankovil Pampa Junction, and also the other adjoint structures. The second element is of Kerala's combat climate change would be the development of climate or weather variable resistant seeds and other inputs which go into agriculture. So therefore, there is a focus on short-term varieties of rice, for instance, which is drought-proof in that sense, and also other genetic technology that improves the germinability, the salinity tolerance, the ability to sort of survive unforeseen events, submergence for a few weeks, etc., which is another second limb which we can clearly identify. And on the drought side, I believe Australia has definite superior knowledge and experience, particularly from their recent experience of drought challenge in their primary producers. The third element is possibly the need to diversify into additional livelihood means than fairly risky options in agriculture. Also to involve a very good regime of insurance, which is weather sensitive. There we have been very successful, and I'm sure Professor Siddiq and particularly his counterparts who have interest in actuarial science can help us to design products which assist us to give custom-made solutions for Kerala farmers, given the new realities in short-term climate phenomena. So I'll, limit myself to these three learnings I had as I was part of various teams which addressed the post-18 challenges. This seminar and this interaction comes at the appropriate time because Professor Siddiq and Western Australia would be happy to know that we have engaged into an aggressive series of programs, academic programs, some of which could really interest you. Professor Gopakumar would share the details with you. We are looking for serious partners like Western Australia to develop them further, give more opportunity to our students who can come and pursue their interests, because all universities now would have a palette of courses which satisfy their higher education in the postgraduate stage, doctoral stage, which they can avail across. So certainly there will be interested courses we can give an option to them to join Western Australia in person for 6 months, 1 year, and gain that higher exposure across two contexts, humid tropics and the Australian exclusive climatic conditions which you have, which is the reverse of possibly the array is exactly the opposite of what we experience here. So let us explore these opportunities. Let's reflect on them. I'm sure that you have a lot to offer through the day, and I welcome both the professors of the university, the other participating senior faculty, and hope that you leave a lot for our students to ponder and sort of plan their work in this very interesting and exciting work area. Thank you very much for having me. Once again, sorry that I got late by 10-15 minutes. I'll blame it on climate change for the day. So thank you so much, and have an extremely pleasant and a learning experience today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful address. Thank you once again. May we now request Professor Siddiq to kindly continue.
Thank you. I already acknowledged the senior members of the university, but thank you, Vice Chancellor Dr. Ashok, and I remember your trip to my university, and it has been a very productive. So the purpose of our visit, Professor Blakeney, Michael Blakeney, is a senior professor of law in my university, and myself is to review the progress of a project which we have been undertaking in partnership with Professor Jay Sri Krishnan Kuti and others. And while I'm here, Professor Namir has asked me to give a couple of talks, but I'm going to be very much to the point. One is on what the future of Kerala agriculture. The second topic is more of relevance to you, both are relevance to you, about some higher education possibilities, particularly in my university. So can we have the first slide? And of course, I'm an alumnus of this university. I did my undergraduate program in Verlaine, and then did my master's from Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, and PhD from University of Western Australia. So I have been coming here in this particular hall in 2009. My Vice Chancellor, then Vice Chancellor, and I came here, and we started the so-called now the College of Climate and Environmental Science. It was been full of students and parents, and it has been an incredible journey since then. So my talk, I'll try to catch up with the time, is about the shifting challenges. Can we go back to the previous slide? Can I do from here? Can I go back the first slide? and then this way. Okay. So the shifting challenges and opportunities for agriculture and food system in Kerala. Your Honorable Vice Chancellor has already mentioned some of the issues in relation to flood, etc. So let us go through that, and I'm sure students in particular and the senior colleagues of the university know this better than me. So my knowledge is through reading, interacting, coming to India, Kerala over the years. So this is the talk I gave at the Keralium event organized by the government of Kerala, but I did it online. But I cut short that and made a few changes. So the outline of my talk is I'll give a background to my university and bit about what is going to happen globally for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Because it's so important for you to look at the horizon. We won't be here, but you will be here. You're going to face the vagaries of climate change, the market regulation, food security, nutritional security, everything you guys are going to face, and you're going to be involved. Kerala agriculture briefly, again, this is largely based on the data I have been able to get. What is missing? Again, your Honorable Vice Chancellor mentioned some activities in relation to flood regulation, and he talked about the dams, and you have got 46 rivers in this state. I was talking to Michael, such a small state, about 600 kilometers long, 558 or 600 kilometers long, and the widest part of Kerala is probably 60 to 70 kilometers wide. And of the 46 rivers, 43 are flowing to the Arabian Sea, the other 3 going. So it's a very unique landmass, ancient landmass, with challenges and at the same time opportunities. I will also briefly touch what is the role of a university, Kerala Agriculture University. It has been going on for a long time, and we have to think about changing and shifting and looking at the future. Then I'll draw some conclusions. So this is our wonderful university. All that red roof building is the University of Western Australia, and Jayashree has been already there, and it's a wonderful campus. We don't have agriculture universities in Australia. That may be a surprise to you. Australia being a very large agricultural producing country, we have 40 universities in Australia, not even a single agriculture university. When I first went there, I was very saddened. There's no agriculture university. And now, after spending nearly 42 years being a student, a professor there, this is the best thing happened to us. How can Professor Michael Blakeney sit here? Professor Michael Blakeney is in the law faculty. I'm in the agriculture. We met together and we started working together. That's what it's all about. So don't worry, you are in agriculture university. You got different colleges. Try to interact. Try to learn from each other. Go outside the university. Read from outside. As your Vice Chancellor or one of the directors mentioned, you have to bring science from other areas. So agriculture is the mother of all sciences. So beautiful university, the city of Perth, and then you got the national park, which is about 650 hectares. And so agriculture is only a small part of the university. We have medicine, engineering, mathematics, music, chemistry, and so on. So we are one of the top 100 universities in the world. You may not believe in ranking, but ranking is very important. That is the benchmark how you perform, whether it is the QS ranking, the Times ranking, and academic ranking of world universities. So this is a internationally recognized university. Well-established industry partnership. So Professor Nami mentioned about publishing. Publishing is not our main agenda. Main agenda is to do the research and translate that research, but at the same time publish. And to me and to Professor Michael Blakeney, we were talking in the car all the time. If you don't publish, how do the world, how do the taxpayers know that you have done your work? So number one, if you're going to do research, you must publish. So students and colleagues comes to my room, I say, why do you want to do this research? If you don't have no intention of publishing, forget about it. And as I mentioned, there are 40 universities in Australia, and the group 8, if you call the sandstone universities, they lead the pack. 70% of the research in Australia is done in these 8 universities. So University of Western Australia is part of that group 8. So it's a prestigious university. Guess what? We got Nobel Prize in 2005. Professor Barry Marshall and his colleague, and they discovered that stomach ulcer is caused by a bacteria, and that bacteria is causing the ulcer. So as a medical student from the university, he did his postgraduate program in the US. He returned back to the university. When he was dissecting the stomach of ulcer patients, he found a bacteria, Helicobacter pylori, was floating in the stomach fluid. Do you know what is the pH of the stomach fluid? You can have some iron nails and it will digest. It is less than 3. Very, very acidic. And he postulated the hypothesis, how can you have a bacteria in an acidic fluid? And then he said that, yes, the ulcer is caused by the bacteria. All the medical practitioners and professors said that's rubbish. So no one is believing him. So what the medical professor is saying, yes, stomach ulcer is caused by stress, smoking, and drinking. But he said, no, this is all secondary thing. So no one believing him. What he did, a young researcher, he, with the permission of his then young wife, he made a cocktail of the bacteria and he drank that himself. And he developed the classical symptom of stomach ulcer. But being a medical doctor, he treated with antibiotics. So now that technology is available throughout the world. And he's got the Nobel Prize in 2005. But he did the invention in 1982. So it took a long time to get recognition, number one. Number two, he told me many times, when he first submitted that paper, it was rejected. Can you imagine? But normally we get something rejected, we tear the paper and put it in the rubbish bin. Whereas he kept there, he took a photo, he shows that to young people all over the world. And number three, he applied for a grant at that time, $82,000, quite a big amount, but it is nothing now at the moment, and it was rejected. So the lessons he tells students and us, don't get disappointed. The failure is the pathway to success. So great guy, professor, clinical professor. So if you, a lot of people in India and Kerala got stomach ulcer. You must test, simple test, and you can treat it. So the point I want to say is that we are in a university where some very, very heavy lifters operating. And being an agriculture person, I go and talk to them, and there's a lot of things you can learn. I won't talk about the institute which I'm leading. You can get the QR code, and you can get the details, etc. 2023 annual report is currently being produced. But the most important thing I want to tell is that if you go and look at the Google, the academic ranking of world universities, which is based on pure metrics. QS ranking has got a survey, Times ranking has got survey. So this is based on if you got a Nobel Prize, if you got academy fellowships, if you are highly cited, if you publish papers in Nature and Science, if the papers are cited. So it's purely based on metrics. We are number 22 in the world. A small group, not more than 20 to 30 researchers and professors really batting. So it's not the size, it's the quality. And we are number 1 in Australia, and I'm very proud to say that because universities like Melbourne, Sydney, Queensland, and they are big universities compared with us. So again, it is the quality, what we have been able to achieve, made us the prominent in the world. So you may ask, what is happening in India? You take Indian Agriculture Research Institute, the most prestigious institute. Every student wants to go and study there. You know where they are? 1,821 in the world. So I was at the alumni meet. I was talking to Professor Mani, and I was saying that you have to lift your game. What are you doing? Government of India is spending a lot of money. You are not pulling beyond. Yes, we release varieties, etc., so as in Australia, we do. But you are not doing your job. So I gave a bit of a warning to them. Now let us go to the topic, Kerala agriculture at a glance. So the share of the GDP allied sectors, that's the gross domestic product of Kerala, this is the figure, it's about 10.4%. Growth rate in agriculture has been negative for a long time, but we are seeing some positive signs, probably 3 to 4% in 2021-24. Again, I'll come back to that. You have a lot of rain, but you get a lot of drought during summer months. So Professor Blakeney, when we came in summer, we were traveling to Palkat and Malappuram, and it was very hot those days. But the share of irrigated agriculture is about 17.7%. So meaning you're still depending majority of the agriculture on rainfall. Marginal holdings, I think someone mentioned again, one of the directors mentioned, director for your research mentioned, that very, very small size. That's a killer. I was told, or yesterday I saw some article, to have a successful rice production profitable, you need something like 20 hectares. So we have a problem in the state. That doesn't mean it's negatives and gloom. So you, students, are going to really work with marginal smallholders. All your research, all your studies should be aimed at that. Of course, you need to learn global agriculture, Indian agriculture, etc., but your holding is going to be small, and it is going to become even smaller by the time you graduate from here. So the sectoral distribution, if you look at in 1960-61, you can see that almost 54% of the contribution is coming from the primary sector, meaning from agriculture. But look at that 2019-2020, that shrunk to about 10%. So the contribution of agriculture has shifted. Nothing wrong. It happens all over the world. But we must remember, food industry is the largest industry in the world. Not your microchip, not your gold industry, not your automation or whatever. It is the food industry. Everyone has to eat at least once, or some of us, we eat up to 4 or 5 times a day. So the food industry will be the largest industry, from production, transportation, processing, marketing, super value chain, health, everything depends upon food industry. So there is opportunities for you as a student in agriculture area, and I'm very pleased that your professors have been telling that getting job opportunities are much better than engineering and law graduates. Michael. Now, if you look at the share of the agriculture and allied sectors, that is the gross value added and gross state value added. The two figures I'm showing, one blue for India and the other one is for Kerala. And you can see that the steady decline both in India and Kerala. And that happens all over the world. Now, if you look at the cropping scenario, crop is an important crop. Animal production is less so compared to the cropping. Total cropped area has declined steadily. This is going to happen because you have 35.3 million people in Kerala. You know what is the population of Australia? 26.1 million. So Australian population is smaller than Kerala, highly densely populated. You got infrastructure, rails and roads and etc. So the fragmentation is going to happen. So the cropping is declining, and also the profitability of the cropping is declining. So people are shifting to other jobs and so on, which is sad. But only bright side is that if you look at that, it appears that it is stabilized. Perhaps this is where the policy makers, this is where Professor Blakeney and others can influence, lawmakers, and the government has to come and develop policies. We have to protect certain agricultural land and so on in the state. Otherwise, we will lose that. But the cropping intensity, once upon a time, it was around 1.4, or in other words, roughly 2 crops per year per land, but that's now gone down to about 1.25. So the cropping intensity has gone down, and that's also worries me, because you cannot expand this way, you can only expand that way. So we need to look at your curriculum, where the cropping intensity, crop cycle, how can we do that? Now, if you look at the growth rate, and unfortunately, we are seeing there is a negative in all cases, except some other condiments, spices. I'll come back to that. Fodder crops, because you need more fodders for your milk production. I was told that you are self-sufficient in milk production. So this is again shifting food crops to your the commercial crops, cash crops, and so on. And again, we cannot resolve that. There is ways in which we can intervene and look at the cropping system and pattern in different parts of Kerala, bringing new vegetables, new crops, short duration cycles, etc. That's the only way we can do that. So again, figure shows that a skewed cropping pattern, as I mentioned, share of food crops declined from 45% of the gross cropped area in 1960-61, and that's declined to 11%. So probably we need to stabilize that or look at some other cropping system research and education in that area. Share of cash crops, very good. You increased from 36.6% to 62%. So this is because a natural way, where there is profit and people will start investing. And I think your cash crops and spices and things are looking very good. The other aspect is that generally low productivity is a big issue. Although there are some trends, some increase in the case of rice, coconut and rubber, but in general, when compared with other areas like in Malaysia, Thailand, or other similar tropical places, the productivity is still low. That's a combination of genetics and agronomy. So one need to look at that. I just got this the other day, and you can see that spice export at a record level in India, $4.46 billion US dollars. Again, there is quite a lot there. So that's happening. India is the largest supplier of spices in the world, and there will be more demand for spices. And who is importing the majority of the spices? China. Again, that market is going to be there for a long time. So 20 years ago, we could not have thought about sending spices to China. So US, Europe, and everywhere. And that's what you have to really focus in terms of future growth. The biggest killer is the labor, and I think Kerala is the highest paid labor force, so whether it is the domestic or in agriculture. So one of the solutions is that the labor cost is increasing, and again, there is a disparity between male and female. We were talking about, we haven't had a chief minister in Kerala, not even a single female. I am ashamed. Kerala should have a chief minister. We need vice chancellors. And when I see that 65 to 70% of the student population is female, why not? You really aspire. I have nothing against male. I'm a male. I got my house is dominated by wife, daughter, and a granddaughter. So really, you need to lift your game and think about, and we need to really have female, and the disparity of the wage is really bad as well. We're facing the same in Australia, and the government is now saying that no, it cannot happen. We need to think. But the point today is that, yes, the labor is expensive, labor is shortage, so only solution, or one solution, is a small-scale machine and agro. From your director of research, so this is how, for example, the drone technology. I never thought that drone technology will be working in small-scale holders, but drone technology is mostly used in small-scale farmers in India, Africa, and other parts of Asia. Even our project, Jayashree and colleagues were demonstrating use of some of the micronutrients and other supplementary in rice paddy system. So small-scale machinery and the new technology can help us to solve that problem. And again, your director of research and the dean and others were talking about the price. The three things makes the difference: input cost, the yield, and the price. Price is largely beyond the control of the farmers, but the yield and input cost are under the control of the farmers. And that's where your agribusiness, agricultural economics teaching comes in and help the farmers to achieve maximum yield through agronomy and genetics, but also quality products getting the price. So this is where the problem, but I see that at least it is stabilizing, but it is still well below what the farmers should get. And we heard about the misery of the farmers, and if you don't have 20 hectares, you cannot have a profitable rice production system. Now, again, dependence on weather, irrigation, and although there's a lot of rainfall, the net irrigated area and gross irrigated area is going about 3 to 5 lakhs per year. So, but the water is required by the domestic, although industry is not very much happening in Kerala. There's not a lot of industry compared with other states. That there will be competition for water for domestic. Are you staying in a big cities? They're supplying water through tanks. Agriculture will continue to have an industry. So we need to modernize our irrigation system, and that's where your engineering group in the university, irrigation technology, and those things have got a lot of opportunities, sensors and timely applying the critical stages of the crop growth and so on. This is the data for time series of the onset of the southwest monsoon in India. And if you look at that, you can see that the monsoon generally starts from Kerala. You already got the monsoon here. Delhi hasn't got rainfall yet. So there is a shift in bit earliness in the pattern. I'll show you that in the next slide. If you look at that, you have got 1965 to 2015. In the blue, there is an earliness. And if you look at the 1870 data to 1920, compared to that, there is a shift in early. These are important because you have got a monsoon, bimodal monsoon, and also sometimes you can get peak during July, August, and this has implication on the catchment, and your Vice Chancellor talks about the dams, etc. So the climate science and historical weather data, prediction of the climate, the rainfall pattern, the amount of water in the catchment area, these are some of the important lessons you need to learn in your undergraduate and postgraduate program so we can manage it better. So again, Dr. Ashok mentioned about the climate change, the impact it has caused in 2018 and repeated in 2019, extremely heavy rainfall. Then you have got dry days, increasing trend in, this is a trend we have been seeing in the past several decades. 300 plus people died, that's history. 10,000 kilometers of highways and 45,000 hectares of farmland has affected. Still, some of the bridges and things are not yet constructed. So that's the global climate change, and then Kerala will be one vulnerable to flash floods and dry conditions. Again, sectors, agriculture and allied sectors, livestock, fisheries, 7.15 crore damage, production losses, 3,558 crores, 90,000 hectares, and 4.4% of the net cropped area. Significant crop losses, particularly in crops like banana, pepper, black pepper, and paddy. And for example, some of the areas like Wayanad and Alappuzha district, there were huge damages. And the crop sector alone is about 2,722 crore rupees. Perennial crops also got destroyed. It's not only the annual crops, your tree crops and things destroyed. And the most important one is that the damage to the soil. So the soil science, soil health, which you are learning, we don't know what it has done. A lot of the topsoil got affected. Your soil biology got affected. And that's where universities like yours has to go and look at and benchmark. What can we do? What are the costs? Don't wait for another disaster to come. You got all these this data there, land there, do masters and PhD projects relevant to that, and then get that data so that we can manage it better. And of course, the COVID-19 came, and that affected significantly crop husbandry, and estimated to be 1,731 crores. Labor shortages in that period was enormous, and you had a lot of disruption in terms of vegetable and other crop production. So, demand for investment in agriculture sector, on farm, what is required by the farmers, implements and small machinery, irrigation facilities, modernization of irrigation, and more importantly, soil water conservation. Off farm, so this is on farm, off farm, they still need a better marketing, otherwise they are not getting the products. Roads, The World Bank study shows that if you construct a road to a village, the whole village improves. So not necessarily having a high-yielding variety or a package is going to be the profit. So simple things like infrastructure or telecommunication can help to the market. So this is how the World Bank look at it. Communication, because again farmers are isolated. Electricity, electrification of the village can improve. So when we as a student or a researcher in agriculture, we only think that, but we need to think broadly. And that's what I'm saying the students, not just about one topic, think about the whole thing. What is agriculture? What is food production system affecting? Now let us look at what is missing. So if you look at that, traditional practices, a lot of the traditional practices we thrown away and we modernized everything. Sometimes we have to go back and look at what are the water resource management practices in the past. Rain-fed farming system, we used to have a lot of rain-fed farming system. Things like sesame, for example, when I was a child, I used to see a lot of sesames and short duration sesames in between a rice crop and another crop and the residual moisture. And today, sesame price is one of the highest in the world. And not many countries are producing. India is still there, China is there, and another country is Brazil. But the demand for sesame oil, sesame seed is very high. Less water requiring varieties. For example, your Adivasis in Wayanad and other areas used to have the ragi and the millets and things. So there are crop varieties which can use less water. Crop rotation, again, I'm sure that any agronomy professors here will say, this is the most important part. We need to go and reinvent and look at what are the principles and practices of crop rotation. How can we then bring some science into it? Climate resilient farming, again, your Vice Chancellor talked about the climate resilience. Australia is the driest human inhabited continent in the world. Yet we are one of the 4 countries in the world net food exporting countries. So very hostile soils, marginal soils, dry, but we modernized, we developed varieties, we developed technology so that we can produce more per unit of water, that is improved water use efficiency. Of course, we have got a tropical area like yours up in the north where we get flash floods and so on. Soil and water management measures, identification and preservation of climate resilient cultivars. This is what we are doing the project with Jayashree. We're looking at the land races of rice in the country, in the state, and how can we fit that into a climate resilient system and how can be profitable. For example, red rice and black rice, huge potential in the market. Everyone all over the world, in France and UK, Australia, US, they are buying. Quite a lot of rice is going from Kerala to some of these countries. Many people doesn't know that. So the farmer groups has to get organized. Adaptive cropping system, again, I emphasize that. Localized food production suitable to local climate. This is very important. Sometimes you should not grow cassava in a slopey land. And we have been doing that. And that's why the landslides are increasing. Maybe the cassava has to grow on the plains, not on the slopey lands, because it's a disaster for landslides and so on. Economy of scale and value adding. This is really important. And again, when I go and look at the products, the NGO levels, the women groups and Kudumbashris and so on, local producer. That's Namir, you sent me that the wine produced from local products. But look at the picture which I'm in China. Look at that. This is from a county, a district where they are converting the peaches and the plums and the apples into various products already. And they don't need to export. They have huge population in China. They will buy. Same in India. You don't need to export everything. When you have 1.48 billion people or 43 billion people, you have ready-made market. So that's where probably KAU need to think about value adding the products, because a lot of the products are wasted and then selling that mostly we hear, but you can look at that. And again, lease land policy, because there's a lot of land still there and government has to be assured that if I give my land to someone who wants to do that, what is the guarantee I will get my land back and so on. These are some of the issues, not necessarily KAU can only sort it out, and this is why the legal framework, and that kind of policies need to come on board. So I won't show a lot of these things. So we started this way back in 2009 in the same auditorium. We had a pact, and then the college or the academy was started in 2010. And our idea at that time, or my idea, was only to do masters, but then I was influenced by then Vice Chancellor, late Dr. Vishwambaran, and Professor Rao, that let's do an integrated program that is 3+2. That continued, then Namir and others came, and now it is a fully fledged climate change and environmental science college. I'm so happy that university finally embraced that with the hard work of people from here. We had a lot of enemies. Any new things you bring in, then academics and professors always say change. Look, we all have to change. So I survive in my university, Professor Blakeney know that. Before the change comes, I go and change. I'm not worried. I have worked with many vice chancellors, deputy vice chancellors. I have no problem. Because if you resist change, especially the young people, you're going to change. You're going to have different kind of job. You will find various challenges, rise to the occasion, and that's where you will be successful. See, that's my vice chancellor then. He's retired. Isaac Thomas, Dr. Isaac Thomas, and then Australian embassy all came. And in fact, they offered 50 lakhs of rupees at that time. But the university did not put a proper proposal, and we did not get that 50 lakhs from the government of Kerala. And of course, I taught the first batch of students, and we were not able to teach here dirty politics. So we did teach at the College of Fisheries in Panangad. And that's where we first taught. And many of those students are doing extremely well all over the world. And again, it is the first of its kind in Asia and India. If the university is very serious about it, nurture that, bring more foreign faculties in short term, and get that exposure to the students, it's a very, very appropriate course for Kerala and India. Climate, environment. Climate, environment. I think, and there's a lot of potential for jobs within the country and also internationally and for higher education. For example, Shilja was one of the top students from there. So I worked hard, and she got a very prestigious scholarship from my university, and she worked with the two famous animal professors and published a paper, and then now she's decided not to come back. She got a great job in one of a private firm, and recently she moved into a consulting group paying high salary, and she decided to get out of academia, and she's a consultant on environmental management. So being a student here, did a PhD, and you don't need to be in the academia, you can get into very other aspects. So that's Shilja. I was giving a talk in veterinary school, and Mohammed was doing his PhD at that time. He said, oh, can we get some opportunities? Anyway, to cut the story, he came with his professors for 3 months, and they did a wonderful work on heat stress in cattle. This is about Vechuri cattle, and he published several papers out of that. Of course, Namir shared this slide, some of the laboratory and other facilities. We didn't even have a single room to do this course here. But from there, the university has really moved forward with excellent facilities. I won't say a lot about this project. This afternoon, we are going to meet and review this project. This is a project where we work with Jayashree and her team, Professor Michael Blakeney and myself, on a prestigious Australian Research Council discovery project. When this project was approved, we decided we will come to India. And then I told Michael, let us come to Kerala. Immediately, I contacted then Director of Research, Indira Devi. And Indira then put in touch with Jayashree, because I didn't know Jayashree before that. And that partnership really worked very well. We have been here now officially 3-4 times, but whenever I come for my holiday, I come and meet. So we went to Wayanad. The idea is that smallholder or marginal farmers identify, conserve, and exchange useful plant material, in this case rice, and incorporate into cultivated crops. Regulatory structures in the countries help or hinder this process. This is where Michael comes. Michael is a professor of intellectual property and farmers' rights and so on. So what we did, based on the advice from Jayashree, we looked at the following districts. One is Wayanad, a wonderful place, Malappuram, Ponnani Taluk, and also we looked at Palkat. So this is the area where we have done our work. So this is one of the papers. Again, Jayashree led this work. Then we looked at traditional varieties, and the study found that emerging types of new rice farmers who were most satisfied with traditional rice cultivation, marketed surplus, education area, and institutional support were identified as the key factors. So they were growing because they're climate resilient. There is some market is an issue, and that's through a survey that came out too. So another one, again, Michael led that, agriculture innovation and the production of traditional rice varieties, Kerala, a case study. So again, this is now getting into the international community. And what I want to say is that the scientific rigor we bring into this research, like all research, and that's what's about. But it can be a practical problem. A lot of our work is on practical problem. So sometimes when I come and talk, my ex-colleagues and others say, oh, you only look at the basic research. There's only one thing, bad science and good science. That can be in any field. So you focus on the good science and develop hypotheses and do the work. Again, is traditional rice reviving? An exploratory study in Kerala. Again, now it has to get into the international literature, etc. And there are some issues identified. I hope we can look at that a bit more critically, and someone else has to follow up that work as part of their project in the future. That could be a recommendation. Again, sustaining smallholder farming through collective action, entrepreneurship, because otherwise you will not be having agriculture in Kerala. Only way is that collective farming. You go to Lulu supermarket, hypermarket, where is the products coming from? Lot is coming from different parts. So the farmers collectively aggregate their products, label their products, geographical indication, environmental sustainability, label that and sell it. The products will be sold like a hot potato in cities like Cochin, Trivandrum, and Kozhikode, and so on. So Michael and I then decided, let's put all that together into a book, which is published by Springer, Local Knowledge, Intellectual Property, and Agriculture Innovation. So we have chapters from the work done in Kerala, we have chapters from Indonesia, and so on. Again, when I showed this to various people, including FAO and United Nations, they're saying, this is the kind of things we need. The other day, Australian Embassy contacted me. I'm meeting the ambassador or high commissioner in Delhi. Then I send all these things, and they said, oh, we are not aware of that. So this kind of things will help us to build stronger ties between Australia and India. Now, Namir has shared some of these things, some of the work his group has been doing. So Kerala, if I am correct, 36+% of the land is under forest. What it means is that you have a natural capital. You are not going to clear that forest. Government will not allow. It is a carbon sink. So you are emitting a lot of carbon. While we are driving from Cochin to Trichy, we were emitting carbon. We're burning the electricity, but fortunately, majority of your electricity is coming from thermal hydropower. So that means you are not emitting. So if you do work through a carbon budgeting scheme, generally quite a lot of agricultural products in Kerala could be classified as carbon neutral or even positive. So that is a marketing edge for you to sell your products domestically, but more importantly, international markets. Again, Namir and his students has calculated the carbon footprint assessment of State Seed Farm, Alvai. We have been there, we did some training. Again, what he shows is that based on the calculation, that is the emission, what you are inputting, and the whole what is happening in the state, you can have a positive impact. Then he did the same for example, Kundam Kulam, that is in Trichur. Again, you can see that carbon footprint is a bit high. The carbon equivalent, he calculated what is the offset and so on. Again, wonderful work, Namir. When you go to Kollam, in another district, and the value is much higher. So, this is the kind of work we need to then publish in top international journals, show that we have the capacity, and I'm very pleased that Namir has just submitted a large project to NABARD on that matter, but it took a while for us to come to that stage. Let us hope that it will be funded, and then we can have several PhD and master's students working within the project. And hopefully we can publish that internationally. So the carbon trading, one of the interventions that KU should be taking and lead, and thus helping the farmers to fetch an additional income. UWA is willing to collaborate with KU in this initiative. So what we're saying is that the carbon trading, some other states and people can come and invest in Kerala in tropical tree crops and other things, and then we can have carbon capture in the system. So that's the training we had in Alway last time when I was here for another meeting. Again, these are some of the small things we can do through UWA KAU collaboration. So the role of Kerala Agriculture University, again, this is not exclusive. Cost-effective productivity enhancement. If not, the farmers are going to be in misery. Building market-savvy farmers. Your product has to be sold. Otherwise, they are not going to cultivate. Crops and varieties to suit climatic challenges and market challenges. No point in growing crops which are not going to be used by market. Effective and eco-friendly and plant protection measures. We need to reduce the amount of herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides used in the system. Filling the knowledge gap, farmers diffusion and agriculture extension. You have a directorate of extension. Director of extension should be here. And again, this is something which we should not neglect. No matter how much good research you do, that is not complete unless that extension and communication, particularly with the Department of Agriculture and KAU relationship there. Conceptualization, skill development and promotion of agribusiness. You have a wonderful college of agribusiness here. It has been going on for a long time, cooperation, team structure, etc. I think they need to take some more innovation in terms of this aspect. Promotion of small farms, innovation, economy of scale. There's no other way you will have large farm. That is gone because there's not enough land for you to have a large farm. I was also happy to see that report, Namir. A lot of people doesn't know that what KAU has contributed. If you go outside these four walls, people say KAU is a white elephant, it's good for nothing, it has done nothing for Kerala. That is not true. Look at that. Economic impact of improved varieties of paddy developed by KAU accounts to be 126 crores. So you need to look at the vegetable production, what impact you had on pepper. Not always it's all entirely yours, but you can claim. And that kind of information then should be provided with the data to the policy makers, Minister for Agriculture, secretaries, and the public, so that your existence is important. That's the same for me. I don't get money to do research if I don't deliver. The impact assessment is very, very important. So what is the vision? This is again my vision, and increase productivity, because we are already seeing that productivity is low, employment and value addition in the food system. If not, your agriculture is not going to survive. Protect and enhance the traditional crop varieties, in this case rice, and traditional land races and natural resources. Soil is so important. Improve livelihoods and foster inclusive economic growth. Without that, the farmers are not going to do that. Enhance the resilience of the people, communities, and ecosystem. Again, your Vice Chancellor mentioned about the flash floods, drought, etc. If that enhancement of the resilience of the people and the farmers not there, they won't. Finally, adopt governance to new challenge. This is where I criticize the governments. The governments come and go. LDF, UDF, LDF, they come and go. And they're not very serious about agriculture in Kerala. They're running around and doing too many things. The ministers themselves are not very serious about it. They need to think, where do agriculture in Kerala has to be within the next 10, 20 years? Yes, whenever I talk to people in the planning commission, they say, we have all these things. I said, sure, but why it is not happening? So you may have that in paper, you may have that in the planning commission, but action, where is the action? Thank you. That is my first talk.
That was an eye-opening, thought-provoking, as well as a very enlightening talk, sir. Thank you, Siddiq, sir. There were many points highlighted by you, and I'm sure we, as well as especially our young students here who have gathered, would have noted these for further study as well as positive interventions. Thank you once again, sir. May we now request you to go over to the next lecture on higher education prospects in agriculture and allied subjects.
If there are any questions while they are loading, I'm happy to answer, either from the professors or from the students. If any questions. That's the one. No, skip this. Any questions from the previous talk? Any burning questions? No? Okay. Let's move on to this. I will make it again interesting for you guys. So I was asked to give a talk on prospects in studying overseas, but I will use University of Western Australia as the example, but it applies to other places. So I'm going to talk about agriculture is important, environmental and biological and earth science. These are all related areas. I will skip these slides because you have already seen it, and I'll just skip all those ones. Okay. I think we need to understand what is the role of education. I think some of you know, but it is not merely economic growth alone. Inequality and poverty, if we are educated, for Kerala is a good example where we have a lot of educated people. We have really wiped out inequality in this state for a long time, still to be done. And also we have uplifted a lot of poor people because of the education. Urban migration and brain drain, I'm one example. I was born here, but now I'm in Australia. That is happening. A lot of people like to cities and then go overseas, but that's okay. Family size and fertility, and this is Kerala is a good example there. Nowadays we have only one child per family or two. This is education has helped us. In the case of agriculture and rural development, many rural areas were developed because of agriculture. And finally, human development. So education is not simply about getting a job, it has got various dimensions. So in summary, education cannot be seen merely as an investment of one kind, but is the core element of all development. That's why the governments of the day investing a lot in education. That is the only way we can reach out to the mass for a long time. Now, this slide is very busy, but very important slide for you. I deliberately put, I just look at what are the global mega trends for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So, inequalities existing, poor versus rich, black versus white, Palestine versus Israel. So, if you, not necessarily in this context, if you study in this sort of social science area, there's huge prospects for job. Climate change, I don't need to talk about that. We already established a college here. Climate change will continue and it will have a huge impact. Students who are doing agriculture science, who want to specialize in climate change in relation to that, huge potential. Migration, although again not in this context, a university like mine, students studying migration law, migration policy, what are the root causes of migration, they will get huge amount of job. Consumerism, we all buying too many things. So in the next 10, 20, 30 years, there'll be huge opportunities in consumerism, whether it is agricultural consumerism or electronic consumerism. Again, courses designed that. You may go and do a master's related to that. Resource scarcity. That's a big issue. You have got the fuel scarcity, the mineral resource scarcity, water scarcity. So these resource economics, for example, those who are doing agriculture economics and so on, there is a lot of potential. So if you are choosing a master's, okay, I did my agriculture science, I wanted to do agriculture resource economics, there's a huge potential. Demographic imbalance. This is again where the social science comes. Aging. Kerala is going to be, next 20 years, a lot of older people, less younger people, and there's a lot of things needed. Psychology, healthcare, and there's a lot of courses in relation to that. Change of influence. Now made in China, made in India is getting, so there's again those kind of areas going to influence you the next 10, 20, 30 years. We heard from people, technological change, the robotics, artificial intelligence, drones, sensors. So those who want to specialize, for example, you may do agriculture science and say, I want to do masters in data science. And maybe that's where you should go. Future of work, that is change, especially after the pandemic. A lot of office buildings are vacant in big cities because people are now happy to work from home. A lot of people are using. So again, the concept about 20 years ago is not going to the same. The point I want to say is that you may start it as an agriculture science, but you may end up something. So you need to really open what are the mega trends in the world. Reinventing education. I spend almost all my time at night reading. Where do I get this information? Moses, the prophet Moses doesn't come and give me the tablets every night. I have to read. And many people say, why are you reading? If I'm not reading, I've become obsolete with my PhD students because PhD students are cleverer than me. So I want to beat them. If I don't read them and they say, Professor, you are not saying things. So it is a tremendous pressure for people like us, and education doesn't stop. So you need to continually invest in your education. Don't stop at an undergraduate. Think about masters, think about PhD, or move into another area. Health, big issue. There's a huge amount of opportunities in the health science. Nutrition, because you people will be studying human nutrition as part of your courses. You may go and look at a master's in human nutrition, and you can say that you did this, and then you become a nutritional expert because you know what is agriculture, what is food products, what is the nutrient contents, because you got obesity on one side, but you also got the malnutrition on the other side. Urbanization, rapid urbanization is happening, so there's a lot of opportunities for urban design, urban management, then landscape management, etc. courses. So this continues to go. New governance, people who are interested in policy and other matters, things are changing. We will not see Chief Minister sitting in Trivandrum and deciding things. In 20 years' time, the local panchayat will rule the place. This is not just here in India, but it is happening in China, it is happening in other places. People will take the power and say, we are unhappy with this federal system, we are unhappy with the state system, we want the decision to be made at a local level. So you need to understand. Security, who has thought this is so important? Not only the airport security, neither the cyber security. So I would not have been able to predict that 20 years ago. So the last one is pandemic, SARS, COVID-19, what next? So if you look at the mega trends, each of you have got to think about where you want to be in that mega trend in relation to agriculture science, and you need to choose a course, whether it is master's and beyond, or whatever training you have to do. That's what I listed. I keep on showing that to my students. Now, this is more like a promotional thing, but it is the same if you want to study in Australia. Why study with us at the University of Western Australia? The southwest of Western Australia is one of the 25 biodiversity hotspots, making Western Australia an ideal living laboratory in the world. And our graduates go on to achieve highly influential, successful careers. I already showed people like Nobel Prize winners, prime ministers, we have many other people, NGOs. And the most important thing that it's not only the theory, the practical elements, and the multiple field trips to apply their knowledge in a real situation. I believe KA is also embracing such situation. So why study at UWA? Science practicum if you're doing agriculture, inbuilt practical opportunities, science clubs and societies. This is so important. If you haven't got that, you establish that. Not just regurgitating what the professor says is not the way. You need to learn from outside the classroom. I would not have been standing here if I simply depended on what I learned from KAU. There has been various ways interacting, sports, arts, many activities you need to engage. So we have that kind of thing. And leading academics, I already showed, for example, a Nobel Prize winner is teaching in medicine. So I teach in agriculture, still undergraduate and postgraduate program. In the law, they have got Supreme Court judges and others coming back into the faculty to teach. So this is some strength we are bringing in our university. Not just ones who retire, you go and sit in a corner. No, people from different sectors come and teach. And this is something which in Amir, we need to really look at your college where we started that. We used to have people from IITs and IIMs and foreign faculties come and teach. Even from KUSAT, we had ISRO and others. A postgraduate degree program prepares to go further. Whether you want to take a career to the next level after your undergraduate program, change direction, I mentioned already, tackle globally relevant issues alongside world-class thought leaders. This is so important. We make sure that globally important relevant topics are taught in the recognized postgraduate program. Group 8 means elite university, drivers of nature of our courses, world-class research and teaching activities, agriculture science, earth and environmental science, analytical labs, geochemistry, geotechnology, research platform, and we got one of the best microscopy and characterization, the best in the southern hemisphere. So a lot of my students go and do either floral bud samples or soil samples or soil microbiology in that central facilities. Again, just showing the experience, hands-on experience and world-class laboratories and exciting trips and real-world industry placements. This is something which really attracts the students to my university, our university, but also other places. If you look at agriculture, potential jobs as agriculture consultants and scientists, animal scientists, then we've got biologists, botanists, and so on. But if you look at the natural and physical science professions, the growth has been 10.7%. Agriculture and forestry scientists, 14.6% growth. So the students who do postgraduate program, they're getting jobs because of the industry demands. So the master's degree allows you to develop specialist skills, knowledge in your field of choice, and it will help you to stand out from the crowd in a competitive job market. We offer an extensive range of master's degree in number of different areas. Agricultural economics, very strong, one of the strongest group in the world. Master of Agriculture Science, Masters of Biotechnology, Master of Biomedical Science, and Master of Environmental Science. So in agriculture and biotechnology, there has been a trend for the large number of students from India and also from Kerala started coming as a private fee-paying students. So then you may ask, do they all go back? No, many of them stay back. They get jobs. I won't read them career outcomes, graduate employers. Not all of them end up in university jobs. And this is a very strong course. Again, you can go and Google, very tough course. Biophysical, social policy and economic drivers, agriculture and resource economics, consulting, industry, government and non-governmental organizations. So this is the type of things which they end up. Again, there's quite a lot of links with the industry, areas of research strength in the globally, and you study with the domestic students. So we don't separate our domestic students with international students. Some universities, I was told, they keep the international students separate. We don't have classes like that. So you have to compete with the domestic candidates. And again, work with world-leading agriculture scientists and other specialist people. Specialization, we don't have too many divisions, so crop and livestock farming, genetics and breeding, soil science and plant nutrition, agriculture technology. This is a new course which is jointly with the engineering, so all technology, integrated pest management. Again, various job opportunities there. I already said that we are number 1 in Australia, number 22 in the world, and there's quite a lot of facilities, including a farm which 1,600 hectares, which comes under my institute. So a lot of the students do spend time on the farm, which is about 2 hours drive from Perth. So there are full-time, part-time, start semester 1 and 2, strong domestic and international cohort, coursework or coursework plus dissertations, several specializations. So this is similar in many Australian and international universities. Again, degrees focused on career-ready graduates, skills to devise and apply innovative solutions, strong farming system context, not just about the theory, so it's really based on the context we teach I'm sure you'd be, and workplace skill communication. For example, one of the students, she wanted to do undergraduate in my university, so I told her father, why are you wasting? Do it in Kerala or Tamil Nadu. And he said, no, she wanted to send and spend top money. Now she's a very good student. So last summer, I just contacted some consultants and gave her address. They contacted, now she's working, also studying because they liked her. So obviously, by the time she finishes her degree, she will get a job. Dissertation is an option. So those students achieve 70+%, they will move into the research team. If they are not really achieving that 70, we say, don't spend time on research, take coursework and finish the 2 years as a coursework master's. This lady is from Mongolia. She came to study master's and she finished, and then then she immediately got a PhD admission, and now she is in New Zealand. She got a very good job in one of the universities. Master of Biotechnology is very popular. Again, some of you may be interested. And the biotechnology has got 3 themes. One is agriculture biotechnology, the other one is environmental biotechnology, and third one is medical human biotechnology. So students move into various areas. Very popular course. And the good thing is that in this biotechnology course, they have their business skills coming in, including intellectual property and other things are taught. Not just about the science alone, because when you have a biotechnology, it deals with not just the science alone, society, but also business. Again, there's a lot of opportunities in the biotechnology area, and many of them are continuing their PhD and so on. I would not emphasize, but the Master of Biomedical Science, particularly people who have got good biology background, gets into there because there's a lot of opportunities in the biomedical area these days. And, some of your brothers or sisters may be interested in that area. Again, one of the areas is food biochemistry, which is relevant to you guys, and human nutrition comes under that. This is a very popular course. Again, it is related to Namir, what you're teaching here, Master of Environmental Science. So the practical skills and the solve environmental challenges, diverse environmental issues, professional skills to facilitate and guide government agencies and private companies. This is increasingly important. Again, specialization, environmental management, marine and coastal system, which is relevant to you, catchment and water management, environmental rehabilitation, sensing and environmental data, environmental economics. There's also a biological science there. Because we got a lot of coastal areas, marine and terrestrial biodiversity. This is again, the students from your college may be interested in that. The molecular evolution, structure, physiology, reproduction, behavior, and ecology of organisms, the skills to apply management of natural resource system. Again, conservation biology, ecology, marine biology and zoology. Wonderful career opportunities there again. One of the things we have been doing, again, this may be what's happening in KAU, combined bachelor's and master's. So it's a 4-year accelerated program for high-performing students. Over the first 3 years, they will complete an extended major and a semester for more advanced study, followed by a final year of postgraduate study. On completion, they will be awarded a full bachelor's and full master's program. This is what we started here with the climate science, but this is very popular. So for example, Bachelor of Agribusiness and Master of Agriculture Economics, Bachelor of Agriculture Science, Master of Agriculture Science, Bachelor of Environmental Science, Master of Environmental Science, Marine Science, Bachelor of Molecular Science, and Bachelor of Master of Biotechnology. So the undergraduate students who are very clever, they spend a lot of time, they do a combined program, and they save time, and they get both degrees within that period. The other thing we started is micro-credentials. I think, Namir, you are also interested. When the COVID started, students could not come, and we have a number of micro-credentials. They do it online, so they don't need to spend a lot of money. But once they did and they're ready to come, that micro-credentials are credited, so you're not losing. For example, in your programs, you've got a lot of courses. Some are working, and they can't come and study at KAU, and they may do some micro-credentials, and you give credit to that when they come eventually here. So what I say to the students is that whether coming to my university or elsewhere, choose your course, choose your preferred postgraduate course, and check that you study your chosen course admission. Apply online. Most of them are online application. Track your application. Don't just send your application and wait. If it doesn't come, you have to follow up. This is something which a lot of students doesn't do. And then they will send you a letter of offer. For international students, so undergraduate study, the +2 equivalent of your high school, IB or A-level CBSE. Postgraduate study, UWA warm equivalency of your home university final marks. So the marks you're getting so important. If you don't get enough marks, they won't admit you. English language competency, IELTS is the best, and different bands are required. And there's a link, and through certified UWA international agents are there, including in Kerala. Apply all year round. Deadline for certain courses are there. So you may ask, I don't have money. Yes, this is the biggest challenge. The expenses are very high, but we do give merit-based scholarships. For example, many of the students from Kerala and India are getting up to anything between $7,000 to $12,000 per year for the duration of the course. If it is a 2-year course, if they are admitted, they assess that, and then they will get a fee reduction. And these are all automatic assessment, and there are different web links. So I will stop that there. It's just an example of when you're thinking about a master's program, but I probably would not encourage students to go to undergraduate program in an overseas university unless you get full money paid by them. PhD probably is a totally different game. Not many students will pay the tuition fee and other things. You really have to do extremely well in your master's program, good research, at least one paper in Q1 or Q2 journals. Do your homework, look at the world-leading laboratories. Don't send emails to Professor Blakeney and Professor me and many others, because we talk each other in the university. That shows that the student hasn't done her or his homework. So you need to do your homework and look at what people have done. This for PhD. Is it the area you're interested? Think about what you want to do, and it takes up to 1 to 2 years even to get something going, because you need to attract the attention of professors who are generally busy, or some of them are lazy. They won't even respond to your email. So you need to be very clever in getting scholarships from, not only from Australia, but in Canada, US, UK, Europe, Japan, and even now China is giving scholarships to students, less so for Indian students, but there are Indian students in Chinese universities as well. So with that, Namir, I will stop, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for throwing light on the numerous vistas available in agriculture education, and I'm sure that the students as well as the faculty gathered here have benefited a lot with many takeaways. Thank you once again on behalf of the KU as well as all gathered here. We now have an opportunity to interact with our eminent speaker of the day. The audience is requested to actively participate in this discussion.
Students, any questions? If you don't get the questions, that means I wasted my nearly an hour. So from both lectures, any questions, it doesn't matter. If I don't know, I say I don't know. That's what I will say. Who wants to ask the first question? And of course, the teachers can also ask the question. Don't be shy.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiq, for your enlightening talk, both on agriculture as well as the opportunities in your university. So, two things I just wanted to know. Because the climate change is real, and we are talking a lot about the climate change. And unless it is, as you told, it's solved at the local level, and we are not empowering the local bodies, whether it will be helpful. And in India, Kerala, where the plantation, it is everywhere, and more than 10% of the plantation, the forest area is plantation. And when we are going for the monocrop, whether it is useful or it is a mixed crop, so that the industry would be getting benefited and the farmers would be getting benefited. That is one thing. The second thing is about the education. We have recently signed a MOU with the Western Sydney University, where we are signed for the dual degree. It is for the undergrad and MRes for the PG. And we have MOU with Western Sydney University for PhD also, where they are taking 160 credits from Kerala Agriculture University, and they are emphasizing to do with the Western Sydney University for 80 credits. And the students will be getting 2 degrees. And we are also in talk with the Iowa State University for 2 years here and 2 years in the Iowa State University. Whether you have any such arrangements for our students. So
Thank you. So the first one was more like a comment, right? About the diversity in the cropping system, correct?
Yeah.
That was a comment. Sure, I think diversity is the only way for diversified system in Kerala, but we need to really look at various elements of the diversity. For example, I've been working in China for the last 20 years. We have been looking at a 6-year study in North China Plain, and we looked at their system has been changed over the years. So wheat, maize rotation system has been practiced. It's intensive in terms of nitrogen fertilizer, both wheat and maize need. And we looked at the carbon emission from those systems. Then we brought diversification such as soybeans, sweet potatoes, millets, and number of other crops. It's a wonderful paper we published in Nature Communication. It's a very simple study, but we looked at all the carbon and nitrous oxide emission from the system. We looked at the amount of carbon in the soil, and also the soil biology, we looked at it. And so I think that's good. You need to look at that. In terms of, we have still an MOU, I believe, with the UWA and KU, is still active. The 2+2 systems can be complicated. Once you map out the number of credits, it can take a long time to get it started, number one. Number two is that the financial implications are very, I don't know how you're sorting out, because the students need a tuition fee. Even if the university waive that, then their accommodation and other things can be expensive. So it is working with some of the Chinese universities, but the parents are paying So they get not 2 degree, 1 degree. So, for example, if your credits 2 years are already agreed by my university, then they come and finish 2 years, then they get a degree from there, not 2 degrees in our system. The other one is the master's, 1+1. 1 year at your place and 1 year in Australia. Again, one of the issues is that where is the money going to come from accommodating those students? Unless there is a scholarship program, etc., we have had huge difficulties. Some are working with Malaysia, and also some are working with China, and there's some agreement going on with Indonesia. But the problem is, if you do 1+1, if the student wants to stay in Australia, the immigration department doesn't recognize that. But you will get a degree only from one place, that is either from Australia or from India. PhDs is much more harder, joint PhD program. So we, after 6 years of my hard work, we have just got Academy of Scientific Innovation and Research, which is the CSIR umbrella. The first student is now from NCL, National Chemical Laboratories, Pune, and I'm just waiting for 5 more students to come per year. So in that agreement, what we have done, we have gone through all the mapping exercise, and when the student comes, I convinced my university their tuition fee for that 1 year is waived, and on the top of that, the living expense will be paid by my university, and the supervisors will provide the operating. Then they will get a joint degree. In other words, the certificate will have the seal of University of Western Australia and the CSIR. I've been working for the last 3 years to get such program with IARI, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Still long way to go. Both ends, bureaucracy. Nagoya University, Japan, we have been working for the last number of years. It's working, but it is harder. So what are the options with KAU and UWA? Maybe look at master's program, where we look at 1+1 program. Maybe selected areas, not all areas. Maybe, for example, if your agriculture economics is very strong, maybe that's one area we look at. Or the crop science is long, we can look at. But still we need to find the money. Then Namir and I have been trying with regard to short-term exposure, immersion program for undergraduates, and it just worked out, but we still, with a lot of effort, we still were shortage of some funding. This was the NADP, IDP, or which is the World Bank scheme. But that scheme is finished now. I think Government of India is waiting for new funding. So, possible with hard work, champions from both ends, mapping exercise, credits matching. Sometimes what happened, in between we changed our degree structure to 4-year to 3-year program because students doesn't want to spend a lot of time in the university, they're getting jobs. So that really upset everything now. So it's a 3+2 program. Either after 3 years they go and work, or they come back and do a 2 years master's, or some clever ones do 3+1, which is honors. And if you do first class honors, you can go directly to PhD. So we can talk about it, but these are some of the issues practically I have been facing. So how the students from KAU has been coming by their own merit. So they have done extremely well in their master's program, and then I mentored in various times. They publish papers, and they end up getting full scholarship. Once you get a full scholarship, it's nice, no trouble. But the master's level, we probably need to look at some very clever students, mentor them, not only me, but other professors in various parts, and help them to guide, to publish some good papers, achieve some good score, and then let them hunt for scholarships. That can be done very easily. Any questions from students? No? Is the university good or bad? KAU? That's good. You will say only that anyway. Your teachers are good or bad? Yeah. So any questions to me? Anything you can ask. Come on, otherwise you are not brave enough to ask any questions.
Dr. Siddiq, there was one element which you have covered most of the, with regard to the first session on the needs of Kerala agriculture as such, making it climate smart. The one element that at least that you would, I hope it will be brought to the attention of those concerned will be the kind of investments, public investments that are needed in education, research. That is one thing that we miss badly. The share of public expenditure in both agriculture especially is something that has been dwindling alarmingly over the last decade. So that is one thing where we can, how can we manage that in terms of national level as well as at state level? So how is it that a university like ours can manage that challenge?
It's an excellent question. It is facing all universities in the world, whether it is Australia or US or UK. So if you look at the universities generally get different streams of income. In your case, majority of the income is coming from the government. So you will get some from federal government and some from the state government. Then majority of the research what we do in my university and other places, we attract funding externally. It's a combination of competitive grants from the government, whether it is federal, mostly federal, and also different funding bodies, including international. So it's a very, very tough job. If you have no money as a professor, you will not do much research. If you don't do much research, you will not get postgraduate PhD students. Some are very good teachers. They don't worry. They say, work model 80-20. 80% I'm going to teach, only small research. But in a modern university, you cannot survive. So in Kerala, the problem is it is still depending upon state. When the agriculture land grant university started in India, majority came from ICR or government. Now, probably less than 30% come from the state. So one thing is that your existence and your role in the society is less clear. So you need to really educate your agricultural minister and the chief minister and the member of parliaments about the achievements and the good role of a university and the need for that. Then you as a consortium should bid for certain projects. For example, why not having a center of excellence in carbon farming? For example, you prepare a case and argue that. Apply for, you don't apply for DBT and DST funding much at all. I have not seen. I don't see many or even any from Kerala in New Delhi and other various meetings and things. So you are not represented. You became largely an undergraduate teaching program with some good masters. Excellence, I think you are now ranked probably 18 or something around in the country. But you must aspire to become number one in the country. And you need to have a vision for that. So what makes a great university? 3 things. Number 1, outstanding, world-class teachers, professors. Number 2, not in an order, world-class students. I think you have got some wonderful students, no doubt. They're coming through a competitive process with a lot of aspirations. But it is my job, your job to look after them, motivate them, enrich that. Number 3 is the infrastructure. The infrastructure includes all the things you mentioned, Director. It is very important. I mean, it's great to see when we were students in Velaini, there was hardly small rooms and things where we stayed. And it's great to see that, maintaining that infrastructure. So, private investment in research, generally in India it is small, although it's happening more in North India. So, summing up, making sure that your things are popularized well and look for opportunities for specialized infrastructure, projects, and programs. You can't get all the money. Everyone wants money. Calicut University want money, Cochin University want money, you want money, and you are an elite group, because I don't know what is the total capacity of your university. Altogether, staff plus students will be less than 5,000, correct? You are lucky to have a university. Elsewhere, they're bringing everything together. If you have a 5,000 people, they say, that's equivalent to a school. Our business faculty or school has got 6,000 students. It's not a university. What the government of Kerala had done, one of the blunders, I'm happy to say that, dividing your university into 3 universities, the biggest mistake, number 1. The transaction cost, 3 vice chancellors, 3 senates, people running around. So if you ask me if I became the chief minister of the state, which I will never, I would bring everything to Velanikara. Why having Trivandrum? Why having here and there? It's historical, because all the transaction cost, bring together, have the faculties together, but it won't happen. So in summary, look for opportunities. But I would like to see more funding application to DBT, DST, ICAR, CSIR, and so on. But also, you need to work in partnership with other people in Kerala or Calicut University or KUSAT, where you can have projects. Don't just have projects within. And not everyone can do it, but to go for some, what we call mega projects. Every year, Kerala Agriculture University should go for a mega projects. Get faculties to have some ideas. Develop 2-page concept notes. Some of them will be World Bank projects. Some of them will be UNDP project, UNFAO projects. Why not Bill and Melinda Gates funding? A lot of the people in IRI and others are getting, but you are not getting. Maybe you are all happy with the good teaching and everyone get a degree, but I think the new generation faculties should be more hungry for funding, more hungry for science, more hungry for publishing in top-ranking journals. Go and have a look. It's sad, even IRI is not there. Sorry to be more open about it.
So, thank you for such a nice seminar, because it was all supported by the data. I want to ask a question, that is, you told about the black varieties and red varieties in Kerala. You had collaboration here. So we know that these varieties are rich source of this biotic and abiotic stresses. But when we do the research and take it to the farmers, if there is no yield, it is not accepted by the farmers. So you told in Australia also the climatic conditions are not that good, dry spell is there, but you are telling that per unit input, you are producing the output, more output from it. So I need to know what are the strategies followed there to couple, couple both the yield as well as the biotic and abiotic stresses together. And you have told you have made the varieties for area specific in those areas. So what are the strategies followed to couple, to join this together, these traits together in those areas?
Good, very good question. So number one is that generally, globally, when you look at the land races, in this case you mentioned about red and black rice, generally the yields are lower than the traditional, the modern rice varieties. We know the reasons. But also the input cost is generally high in the case of modern varieties, because if you don't give the right input, the yield potential will not be achieved. But what Jayashree studies, and we can have a discussion later, shows that yield is not too bad, but it is not as high as the modern varieties. But the quality trait and the price they're receiving, at least the groups we have been looking at, is compensate for that. In relation to their adaptation, if you look at all these local land races, whether it is in rice or other crops, they're adapted. They have been selected over hundreds of years by farmers for the thing. They have got certain resistance to both abiotic and abiotic stress. So we need to identify and demonstrate. And it is increasingly happening now all over the world that the importance of land races in a cropping system is important. Now, you asked a question about how we doing in Australia. So if you look at Australia, Australia is an old continent, but the white man came only 200 years ago. So there was no agriculture in Australia, as we know. The indigenous people who lived 5,000 plus years ago, they were basically hunters and gatherers, mainly fish and other things, eat some berries, no real grain or anything. So everything in Australia from cow, sheep, wheat, everything was introduced. And then we started our own breeding program and adaptation management packages. So you need to understand the conditions where you are breeding for or developing the package, and that's how we achieved that. So there was a real effort to adapt crops and animals to Australian system over the last less than 200 years. And Australian people, the white people, used to wait for months to get wheat and bread from England, and the ship used to sail and people used to die. So 1836, the first lot of wheat was introduced from England and planted in the now the Sydney Harbour area, there where Botany Bay, and all failed because it's ill-adapted. So that's where the modern breeding started. So in summary, the land races have got a role. If you do have a role, find a role, that need to be demonstrated and capture the value as well. So yield is not the alone, but if you have all modern varieties, and many times they won't be able to cope up with the stress.
Hello.
Yeah.
Dr. Siddiqui.
No, yeah.
I'm Dr. Kunyamo.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about the kind of changes that are happening in our agriculture sector in the climate change scenario.
Yeah.
Probably Kerala is the only state in our country who has stepped forward in making our agro ecosystems carbon neutral. And probably you know that the Harita Kerala mission is also taking up it in a very, very big way. In fact, yesterday I had been to Trivandrum to attend a workshop wherein the focus was on identifying the sources of carbon emissions in the agriculture sector. And we could, you can realize that it comes to around 70 to 20% of the total emission is from the agriculture sector alone, of which probably animal sector, rearing sector contribute about 52%. But almost if you take the agriculture alone, setting apart the animal, it is the rice which contribute about 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And they are trying all their possible levels to quantify the emissions. Of course, quantification is okay, IPCC guidelines are there, but with respect to the assessment of the carbon sequestration and other things, there are a lot of methodological limitations which still exist, because from the meetings which I undertook, I know that there are so many gray areas, especially with respect to Kerala. A warm, humid tropical climate where, as you suggested, the land holdings are very, 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 very small. Quantification of these positive benefits and the negative benefits so that the gap can be managed. This has become a very, very challenging area for us. There are a lot of technological interventions required where we are stuck. Probably Western Sydney University may be doing a lot of activities in this line. Can we have that kind of a big project or something which takes care of these aspects? Because 121 panchayats have been taken for the first time. And I think Kerala Agriculture University students, especially agriculture and forestry students, not only all the other students, have got a larger opportunity in this massive mega process, which the government of Kerala is going to complete within a period of 1.5 years. 999 panchayats are going to be made carbon neutral. This is a mammoth task which Kerala is going to take, wherein our students, maybe by undertaking consultancy programs also, there are a lot of opportunities. But I am speaking about the research gap in respect of technological limitations. How best that can be tackled by a kind of association between KU and Western Sydney University?
Yeah. Good comments. Basically, Kerala has got the advantage of being a lot of forest still there. Methodologies in terms of estimation, it's not perfect, particularly when you go deep down, but you can easily estimate the nitrous oxide emission from nitrogenous fertilizers. Paddy system, you can estimate what is happening. Animals are also, we got quite a lot of methodology. So what is required is that how can we then manage that through agronomy and also for genetics. It's not just agronomy alone, but there's a lot happening in the rice, developing new rice varieties for upland production system, irrigation facilities instead of flood system. Then the importance of the slow release nitrogen fertilizers are getting more and more momentum. Then things like biochar and soil amendments can significantly reduce the emission. So what I would do is that as Namir has done, and I showed here, you take some typical geographical locations as case studies, then do detailed work, and there's quite a lot of papers I have sent to Namir over the last number of months. Some of them we can use based on the knowledge, some of them we have to go and do it. Perhaps again, this is why I'm saying that we need to think about having a center of excellence in carbon neutral farming based in KAU, but then have some links with a few other universities in India, Kerala, and some international universities. That's where you need to mobilize some effort. So then technology can come, collaboration come. For example, if I go to my university and say, I want to collaborate with KAU, they say, oh, okay, you can collaborate, you get the funding. I mean, if this project was not there, Michael and I won't be here. So we need, some of them are small funding, some of them can be big. But think about this, and of course, government will not give all the money. So you have to look at various sources, but have a vision. What do you want to do? You got all this massive intellectual horsepower, undergraduate and postgraduate students. Not all will work in that area, but we need something like a center of excellence, largely focused on research, but they can then, students immersed in that for PhD programs, and the staff will come from different colleges. And let's go for a 5-year program, and then review at 3 years. If the 5-year is continuing, then unless you have a critical mass, Kunyamu, you alone or Namir alone will not be able to do. You got 100 things, the Vice Chancellor come and go, but have a think about it. Maybe a workshop within Kerala about this idea. But bring people from Kerala University or Kusat or Calicut University. Don't say they are enemies, they are good friends, where if they have ability to contribute. Then select a few case study locations, maybe uphill, middle hill, and downhill. So you got paddy, uphill you don't have paddy, but mostly tree crops and things, more carbon storage. Down you got a lot of problem, and look at that. I mean, that's a long answer. We would like to take a photo of the students with all of us. Is it possible after this? How do we do that? So you stand there. Any other question? I am disappointed that none of the students asked any questions. Very sad.
Good noon, sir.
Sad. Yeah, good one. Sir, what's your name?
Sir, myself, Dr. Megha.
Oh, no, you're not student.
No, sir, I'm working here.
Yeah.
Sir, I got a doubt. You were talking about master's and PhD programs. So I want to know about postdoc. Is the university providing any postdoc opportunities?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I get almost 20 emails every day. Our university used to have some postdoctoral, very limited ones, but like any other universities, finance situation is a big issue. So we have then have no postdoctoral programs provided by the university funding. Having said that, if you go and Google my university and look at the job opportunities and other things, there will be. For example, when I get a big grant, then I look for postdocs to come and work in my lab. So the funding is coming from externally. And then there were other sources, like I had people came from different parts for 6 months, etc., using Endeavor Fellowship, then the ICR visiting fellowships, etc. So normally the university doesn't have any funding kept for that. You look at opportunities and then you contact the professors either from their own money and do it. So that's the same in US and Canada and other places. But you need to know what you're really looking for and look at the areas and research active groups and look at their papers. These days you can see all online, not like when we were students. But postdoc 6 months plus is a very good idea because it makes a huge difference in your career. When you return back, you acquire knowledge, then you would have published papers and so on.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yep.
Myself, Anurinch PR. I'm a student of I'm doing postgraduate in agricultural extension from the College of Agriculture, Vellanikara. So, as a student of social sciences, what all fields a student of social science can get involved? Agricultural social sciences in specific can involve in promoting climate smart agriculture, and also my thesis work is related to climate smart coffee, and what all field that I can explore into when I look upon the climate smart agriculture. And also, sir, I'm a postgraduate student. I'm planning to do a doctoral degree also. So what all are the opportunities that awaits me in the future, especially overseas?
Mm-hmm. So you have really touched the key figure. So the climate smart agriculture, climate change is happening. There's a lot of science happening. And if you look at why then the farmers are not adopting those technologies. There's some work done by IIT Kharagpur. There's a nice paper where they went and monitored the farmers. Why? The number one is economics. The farmers doesn't have the money to have some of the technology. For example, if I want to change the irrigation system into trickle irrigation with PVC tubes and so on, I need money. The second one was that availability of the technology and the knowledge. So in other words, we as scientists produce nice research, but that's not being transferred to the farmers because we are too busy going for the next research. So the extension or technology exchange people like yourself will have a huge role because technologies are happening so rapidly. And can you imagine a farmer here or farmer in Australia has the time to get that? So they are depending on consultants and extension specialists to grasp that idea into a practical solution and give that to the farmers. So in fact, that has declined over the years in many parts of the world, but it's increasingly important. The science is getting complex. The solutions are not from one source. How do you bring all that together? Because you understand the science, because you've got a basic degree and so on. So in order to do a PhD, again, as I mentioned earlier, you are now into the social science, agriculture social science area. You really need to have a good project. You publish in a top journal in that field. You need to know who are the people working in that area, including in my university. There is in the people working on climate smart agriculture adaptation and policies, and also the why the adoption is not happening, etc., etc. So there is a role for that.
Thank you, sir.
No other question? Yeah, there's one question there.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your insightful and comprehensive lecture. Sir, addressing the climate change, I just want to know how the University of Western Australia is contributing with the climate risk management and decision making. As we know, most of the farmers are dependent on, not most of the, some farmers are dependent on rational decision making and some are dependent on heuristic decision making. So how the university is contributing in that? and how the farmers are taking initiatives for that. Is there any initiative particularly going on with university in collaboration with university, or are there any initiatives so that we can inculcate that university or some ideas in India also? Like mostly in drought-prone areas and flood-prone areas.
Yeah. So the primary role of the university is education and research. So we have programs and specialization PhDs related to climate change and climate change adaptation. So once that knowledge is developed, then of course that knowledge is available to extension workers, and also we communicate that through scientific papers. For example, on July 17th, I'm organizing a industry forum, and the spot is already sold out. I can only have 250 people in the auditorium. What is the topic? The topic is, can agriculture achieve net zero? So who are the speakers? There's farmers we are invited, researchers, and that will be a whole afternoon. Of course, it's all recorded, so you can get it on the YouTube. And that's very important, because we don't have the answers to everything. We are also learning, and the farmers are adapting. So there's a huge interaction with the farming community. And in previous lectures, I showed some case studies where farmers looking at a whole farm, animals, crop, soil, then they go and estimate where is the leakage, how much nitrous oxide coming, how much methane is coming. Then they look at ways to minimize. So then they look for the information from universities, Ministry of Agriculture, and so on. So understand, get the knowledge, communicate that knowledge through a variety of methods, and the farmers are demanding that very much, because otherwise they won't be able to survive. So universities got a strong role to climate, not only climate change, but also all other issues. That's why the universities are built up. And the interaction between the farmers. For example, my industry advisory board is chaired by a farmer. And I have to bring that group, and the group then look at what is going on and how you communicate. And that's more needed in KAU, because in your system, you say, okay, Department of Agriculture will do the extension. Some are doing, and then you do the teaching and research, but you need to bring that together and look at. The best thing is let KAU adopt a few villages like what you did, and then go and do a lot of things there with them and demonstrate that you have done, then other villages or other districts adopt those technology. But you have done, in the case of vegetables and other crops, you have done. So there is no single answer to that. Sorry.
Any more questions, students? Thank you, sir. I think that's for all now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So, finish?
May I request Dr. Roy Stephens, sir, the Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, to offer a few remarks.
Professor Siddiq, other university officers, faculty members, and my dear students. So it was a wonderful session. I'm sure all of you had something as a take-home message from the enlightening speech given by Professor Siddiq. So I was also wondering, because at Vellani itself we have 24 academic departments and with almost 90 faculty members and 1,400 students. So sir was telling about 22 faculty members and I think the last point, maybe with the question what our student has asked, so sir has highlighted. So we also need to come out from the shell and work in interdisciplinary way, where core science people will work along with the social science people also, because our target group are same, so that we will be able to deliver something more in that. And climate change, of course, it's a challenging area. You know, carbon dioxide is increasing. So plants also need to adjust their developmental phases of phenological adjustments are there. And there is a dilution effect also, because plants will be able to produce more, but the quality will be less because they may not be able to absorb more nutrients. So naturally, they will not be able to produce more vitamins or minerals in the food products. So we need to address all those things and say like an integration of systems also, like honeybees, they will collect the nectar, which will be low in quality, and naturally the expected quality will not be there in the honey which is produced by the bees. So an integration of all these things are required. And as Professor Siddiq was telling, so we need to now integrate all the technologies also, because we have some good technologies to solve these issues, to modify the crops to better suit or face the environmental challenges, including the genome editing technologies and all. So I think that also has to be. And Kerala Agriculture University is also moving forward in such directions. So we are now attracting faculty members or expertise from the industry also as professor of practice, and also from other national or international institutions as adjunct faculty, so that our students' community is benefited. So based on sharing their expertise or experienced field. So I think university is also moving in that direction only. And we also look forward for having strong collaborations with University of Western Australia, because wherever we have strength, like we have more strength in biodiversity or IPR, etc. So I think that also will be good when we are joining together, or if it is offering a platform. And I look forward for short-term exchange and other exposure visits to our undergraduate and postgraduate students also. Maybe we can initiate the programs with having an advisory committee member for our PG programs from the University of Western Australia, and to have some academic collaborations also, maybe tailor-made course programs. And of course, our faculty member, Dr. Beena, so she also had a association with them and the Spark project. So they are now working on it. Maybe we are hopeful that in near future we will be able to get good international funding for this international collaborations with other universities. So our university is also moving in that direction only. I am very happy to see that our students were interested, and you were really motivated by the speech of Professor Siddiq. So I look forward that you will get good opportunity in future, and our agriculture university is open for all academic as well as research collaborations with Western Sydney, University of Western Australia. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. May we now request Dr. Anup E.V., the Dean Faculty of Forestry, to kindly offer his remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Kadambot Siddiq, who has been around for a while in this university, traveling alongside Dr. Namir, Jayasri Krishnamurthy, Madam, former Director of Extension, Professor Blakely, and all other respected officers of the university, and my dear students and other faculty. As I belong to the Faculty of Forestry, I'm really happy to say that the persons who are behind this program, including Dr. Namir, as you know, and Dr. Gopakumar, and Dr. Kunyamu, they're all from the forestry faculty. So you've been talking, two presentations were there. First one on generally about Kerala's agriculture from your perspective, being a person from Kerala and also studied here and a former alumnus of this university. And then looking at Kerala's agriculture from the Australian side, the first presentation. The second one on future prospects for our students in the University of Western Australia. The mindset has to change. Let me ask everyone to give a big applause to Siddiq sir for giving an insight into what is in store for you, not only in University of Western Australia, but elsewhere. Also thank Jayasri Krishnagati madam for specially inviting us, all of us, and Dr. Namir also, and all others behind this particular day's show, which went on very well so far. Regarding forestry, since I'm from this faculty, you've been talking about, how forests work as a, sequestering carbon and, offsetting carbon emission and thereby controlling the vagaries of the climate change phenomenon happening. But recently we had a workshop in our college along with the Kerala Forest Department and CWRDM, the Center for Water Resource Development Management. We were talking mainly about the water provisioning services of the forests of Kerala. Different forest ecosystems are there, starting from the moist deciduous, the coastal forest ecosystems, right up to the wet evergreen forest ecosystem and the grassland sholas. And how they provide, in fact, one of the thematic areas of the 13th working plan, vis-a-vis forest was forest for a water-thirsty Kerala. So at that time, it was like, forests are, as you already mentioned in your talk, source of 44 rivers. 3 are west flowing, three are east flowing, and the rest are west flowing. Provide quality water. So they are a source of clean quality water, no doubt. Everybody knows about that. But, different ecosystems, we don't know how much is being provisioned by the forest. At that point of time, it was like, setting or trying to put forests as the main water giving source for the entire state of Kerala. But come late 2020s or in 2020s, it was about mitigation of climate change vagaries, like, how forests can prevent the upsurges, the sudden flash floods, etc. And then the question of forest health came into question, because forests are being affected by the climate change too, and the forest health has declined. So apart from provisioning services, they are also rendering the cushioning effect, or rather preventing or mitigating the effects of climate vagaries. So there are very important, I need not mention or emphasize that too much here, but Dr. Suman, you probably know, he went abroad with the basics in forestry. But I was just looking at your newsletter, and also we have been in discussion, already mentioned, with the University of Western Sydney on articulation and dual degree mapping for forestry. Something remarkably absent was about forestry itself, research as well as programs in forestry. I don't know whether it's because Australia doesn't have forest. It has forests, different types of forests, as I know, different types of regions, like as you mentioned, tropical and even temperate, I believe. So the real question here is, students who aspire to do research in forestry, I didn't find much in University of Western Sydney. We found difficulty in articulating for the 4th year, which will be given by the University of Western Sydney. And we had to finally map the program for sustainable environmental futures. But we did that successfully, thanks to Director of Education and the entire team on KU. We have an international student coordinator now, thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for envisioning all these things. He says that we're 20 years running behind in our attitude towards looking at education. So what I would request at this point, and also would try to address, if it's possible for you, is to enlighten the students about possible opportunities, especially in forestry, in the Australian universities specifically, because we have environmental science and related aspects related to agriculture especially. They're all interconnected, no doubt. So once again, thanking all, Siddiq sir and Jayasri Krishnagati madam and Dr. Namir and all of the officers of the university for giving me the opportunity representing the College of Forestry and the students. Some of them are still here at this late time also listening to the speeches. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir. We would like to have a group photograph with the students as well as Professor Siddiq and Blakeney. So we request all the students to kindly come forward towards the stage and request all the dignitaries on the dais to join for the group photo. Students, please come forward towards the stage. All students kindly join for the photograph. Please come forward.
And we were also enlightened to a large extent by regarding higher education prospects in agriculture and allied subjects by Professor Siddiq, who has been associating with our university for a long time. I take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to Professor Siddiq for coming and enlightening us with his views. We also have from Australia Professor Blakeney, who will be also interacting in the afternoon with us. So thank you very much for coming and attending and being part of our family in this particular function. Thank you. So I extend my thanks to all the directors, deans, Dr. Jayasri Krishnankuti, and all the fellow students of our university who attended this function. And once again, thank you one and all. Sorry if I've left out anyone. At this late hour, I don't want to extend much more time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All are requested to rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you one and all for being a part of this one-day international seminar. Thank you once again. We come to the close of the program.